All good things must come to an end. Welcome back to the series finale. Yes, series finale of the HeyUSA podcast. My name is Nick Garcia, senior reporter at PlayUSA, and for the final time, 50 episodes deep, I'm joined with my friend and colleague, Brant James, lead writer of Sharp Sights. Brant, we were able to put 50 under our belt. You know, what is one takeaway that you'll enjoy from hosting this enjoyable podcast with me every week?
Well, I find that we're both givers. I find that, giving content and enjoyment to the folks who were with us from the beginning is it warms me. That's all the reward that I need. I'm just really sad that much like many things in the post-COVID world, supply chain issues have dragged us down. Nothing that we could really do about it.
50 episodes, though. I hope that our record is at least over 500 when it comes to turnaround of these things. Would you say? We at least have a 500 winning record for these episodes that we did.
Oh, I would definitely think so. I think it's maybe not first ballot Hall of Fame, but definitely Veterans Committee is going to be very receptive to us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Golden Glove. But yeah, since this is our last episode, we kind of wanted to take the opportunity to not only later on thank all the people that appeared on this podcast over the time, but kind of just talk about a few things, leading into football season and the end of the year. A couple of gambling stories here and there. One thing that, maybe will kick off this discussion, Brant, is BetMGM recently partnered with a comedy media trope called Almost Friday. I don't know if you've heard of Almost Friday. They're similar to Barstool in that they give you like TikTok content, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff. They got this personality called Dr. Locks who is the king of parlays, kind of how they say. But anyhow, I thought it was very important that companies are starting to see the benefit in these type of personalities, these Barstools, Always Friday personalities, in that marketing clearly is going to go down. Marketing dollars are going to be eliminated, I would say, within the next 5 years from BetMGM's balance sheet, because they're just going to pivot everything to these group of guys, these personalities that can now push out their product. How have you seen things like that, these Barstool partnerships and these other brand deals impact gaming companies?
Yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't heard of this. It's I guess that's the ultimate flattery is that Barstool is now being copied as they've been completely folded into the Penn Entertainment fold. We keep hearing content is king. Give the folks something to read. Give them a video to watch. Apparently, it's give them something to laugh about too. It's an entertainment experience, or so these companies hope. So they're hoping to give someone something to chew on rather than just whether their team is going to win the game, whether their parlay is going to win. Keep them entertained, keep them around. Mostly keep them around. But you're right. The free bet money and the risk free bets and all the acquisition costs are really piling up. It's costing these companies in terms of the stock and the bottom line. And if they can succeed in making this more of a mainstream entertainment endeavor, it seems like that's going to be the future. Continue to be.
I feel like you make a good point. Like someone who wants to find a promo code is going to hunt down a promo code. Anyone who wants to hear an expert say, don't take the Bears at plus 200 this week. Like, do not do that. We'll hunt and find that down. But I feel like it is this younger generation that want to hear these personalities, maybe like bash a team or talk about them or just say some kind of weird quote that sticks with them, on top of telling them why they're doing this 3-leg parlay for some weird reason. And if you bet with them right now, get a free hat. I feel like that is what the future of a lot of these gambling and online casino properties is going to be.
Because ultimately, I think they're realizing that if you're going for the dabblers, if you're going for the fans and you're trying to get them to make a couple bets, you've got to make it fun. and not everyone, this doesn't want to, not everyone wants this to be like their taxes. They're not trying to make a side hustle out of this.
Yeah.
Something for a goof, something for a laugh, entertainment, keep me entertained, give me something to do when there's a commercial going on. It makes a lot of sense. It absolutely does, that they can incorporate a lot of different things besides numbers, and just sort of taking the edge off of it when they inevitably make a wrong decision on the bet and they're a little pissed off about it.
Speaking of things that aren't entertaining me recently, my Chicago White Sox have become unappealing.
They're terrible.
Every time I go to a game, I'm depressed. I'm sad. I'm in this fix where I'm trying not to drink as much, so I can't even enjoy depression beers at the game. I'm sitting there watching a team get swept by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and our playoff hopes fade. How are you still feeling about the Baltimore Orioles after seeing their showing against the White Sox?
It's gravy. I mean, this is not supposed to be the year. It's supposed to be 2 or 3 years from now. They traded their starting first baseman and their closer, and it's still going fine. It's, whatever happens, man, it's absolutely just, it's pleasant to look at the box scores. It's pleasant to see what happens. At this point, I can just sort of target the Blue Jays. If the Blue Jays start losing and the Orioles keep winning, that's great. I got something to watch for. It hasn't been like this for years, 5 years. There's been no fun. It's been over by June. So it's still a bunch of no names, but it's a bunch of kids. It has a lot of the same appeal of the fabled 1988 Orioles teams, the Why Not team. Made no sense. Or 89 team, why they competed, weirdly went into the final weekend of the year with the Blue Jays, and were undone when Pete Harnish stepped on a nail, but that's really literal inside baseball. Yeah. But it's just fun to be around, man. Normally it's eliminated by April 3.
Yeah. I don't know if you were able to catch any of those games in that series, but it was the game 2 where the White Sox fumbled that last out and the Orioles ended up hitting the home run. There was a distinct moment where when the Orioles hit that home run, their entire bench just looked like a college team had just won. And it was like that energy, I feel, is missing from the Chicago White Sox. Sure, when someone hits a home run, they get amped up for a little bit, but for some reason, seeing that Orioles team do that, I not an Orioles fan and in Chicago, could feel that passion and see how jazzed up this team was, that for them, that looked like they just won the World Series. That's how impactful that team has been. And I feel like it's very hard to get that, gain that confidence and whatever, because the White Sox have just been sulking. Even when they win, they just look like, we shouldn't have won that one type thing. So
yeah. I mean, the White Sox have had some injuries, but they're very good. I don't think nobody would argue baseball's most disappointing team. I feel like maybe it traces back to the manager, but there's a great value in sports and baseball in particular, not knowing any different and just getting pissed off like the young kids did when the Orioles were sellers at the deadline. Screw you.
Yeah.
Why not? Let's keep going. It's all gravy.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Moving on. What is a gaming story that you got on your radar right now? What, you written anything that you'd like to speak about?
Yeah, well, an interesting story. Fans and dabbler bettors get very fired up about parlays, even though they are huge winners and big losers. Huge winners for the house, big losers for the bettors. And the sports books, no doubt, like to pump it out on social when someone hits a big one. That happened in the NASCAR race on Sunday. One bettor used a free bet, a $13.49 free bet. He parlayed 4 guys to finish in the top 10. One of them was pretty reasonable. The other 3 were total dartboard jobs. At +7, oh my God, that's a large number. +7,408,700, just +7408700.
Yeah.
Turned that into $999,433.63, which is a lot of money. So that was very interesting. We wrote about that. And another guy, he did a 3-leg parlay at $750,000 to won a $10 bet and turned it into $70,000. So again, that is just invaluable public relations for FanDuel. That's where the money, both guys got their money from FanDuel. Just invaluable, priceless, because people will just pile money in thinking they're going to do it too, and FanDuel is going to work out great for them. But again, sometimes.
There's that scene in The Hangover where Alan is like about to do count cards and poker, and you throwing those numbers at me. That's kind of how I feel. That is insane. That I mean, like kind of like you said, dart on a dartboard.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm hoping this guy understood NASCAR, and it really wasn't just let's just pick random. This guy's name sounds funny. Let's pick him. But I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of understanding, and probably a guy who watches a little bit. But still, $13 into $99K
on a free bet. Yeah,
on a free bet.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like he did the 4-driver parlay, and one of the guys he picked is one at Daytona, and he's won at the very similar track in Talladega. So he was only plus 950. It's interesting with golf and racing. It's everyone against everyone, and there's a lot of competitors, so you can get pretty good odds. It's not like Team A versus Team B. So he was plus 950, and then you start adding these other guys who really had no history of success there that fluffed it out. I mean, you just got the feeling he was going, screw it. Yeah, whatever. $1 million, hit it, free bet. So good for him.
That's my whole student loan debt paid off right there. If I hit that thing, that's
the happiest tax check you've ever paid.
Yeah. Just a little tangent for people out there. You've covered NASCAR for a bit. You've been to a few races in your life. Is that right?
Oh God, hundreds, man, hundreds, so many. That's why I can barely hear you. I'm not kidding.
I personally have never been to one.
Well, one's coming to you.
Yeah, that's the one that I'm hoping that'll be my first. But if that one wasn't coming here, what would you say is a good race for a first timer to experience? Like, what is what is something that you say, every person should attend at least once, or is a good foot in to the NASCAR and racing world?
My favorite place was always Watkins Glen, New York, or Sonoma in California. Where I got ripped off in Oakland. But anyway, but they're road course races. If you really want to get there and just sort of, have that Days of Thunder experience, you could go to Daytona. I would recommend Talladega, Alabama. Okay. It's a dot on the map between Birmingham, which is an underrated cool town, and Atlanta. I think it's I-10. Middle of nowhere. It's not as nuts as it used to be, as is the case with most things in the modern world. Yeah. But crazy campground, absolutely massive track, 2.66 mile track, 33 degrees of banks, 30 cars going almost 200 miles an hour, insane speeds. One person screws up, metal cars flying, crazy weirdo barbecue, odd vibe. Go there, Talladega for sure.
All right, that's good. I'd never been to a race course, but I'm hoping that Chicago one is going to be really cool. For those of you who don't know, we'll link a story in the description. Chicago will be getting a race that I think they're trying to make a yearly thing that will debut next year. And as Brant previously told me, expect it to be a week-long affair. It isn't that they just build the course on a Thursday and they race on a Friday. Engines are going to be rumbling for a bit down in downtown Chicago. So I'm pretty excited about that. What else you got on your docket? Like what else you got working on?
Well, this week we dropped over at Gaming Today. We dropped our highlight story. I spent a night at the Battle Court 2 draft in Magic City Casino in Miami. It's the last active highlight fronton in the United States. Okay. And they've recently signed a deal with ESPN to broadcast their Battle Court season. It's sort of it's a smaller, more digestible version of the highlight game. It's singles, doubles, and it creates teams. There's the Cesta Cyclones and the Chula Chargers and two other teams. I apologize, I can't remember your name. Where they get 4 groups of wealthy people to pay $100,000 to be the air quote owners.
Ooh, yeah.
For 4 months. You remember this?
I do.
And they draft their team and they get their special little platform. It's got a lot of Ocho sort of dodgeball vibe to it, but it's this last bastion of highlight in the United States, and they're very excited that ESPN has come aboard. Quite obviously, live content. We love it. And that's why ESPN has bought bowl games so they could tell the Weed Whacker Bowl, yes, you're going to play at 9:45 on New Year's Day morning. That's when your game is. It's got to be live because no one wants to record something and watch it. They want to watch live stuff at all times. It's just how we are as sports fans. So it'll be on their app. It'll be on ESPN3. And the folks in Magic City are very excited about that because they want to not only survive, they want to push this back out across the country. And they're talking about the prospect of there's been Vegas casinos apparently that have called Magic City trying to franchise this because they control all the American players because they're the only ones. So, basically if you want to have a Chick-fil-A in Vegas, you're going to have to talk to the guy who runs the Chick-fil-A in Miami right now. So September 23 is when they debut. I would highly recommend if you've watched the game or not, you check that out because it is interesting. And it's at the very least, it's historic because they're the last ones left. And this could be the beginning.
That was the one where we tried to pitch our company to buy one and see if we could figure out what the name would be. Those things are pretty interesting, much like that fan-controlled football league.
Yeah.
Where, all that stuff is pretty interesting. I mean, that definitely gets user engagement. Like people are actually running the show, calling the plays, which is kind of fun. It has kind of like that esports vibe for me. If I'm actually playing the Fortnite or Call of Duty or League of Legends, I do have control over what's happening on the screen, much like, fan-controlled football. Like my vote does count, and the next play is going to be a pass or a run. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's been very interesting. The ownership down there are continuously told. Apparently, they have a very big social following and a big following on TikTok, which you just would not expect because this is a sport that was dying. But the people that find it on TikTok and relate to it tell them that it seems a lot like Tron. So they're like, well, okay, whatever. Just keep watching.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of, you kind of mentioned all these different channels for ESPN3, The Ocho, all that stuff like that. That kind of had me thinking about a story that I wrote regarding advertising, like casino and gambling and online gambling advertising. We'll link to the story in the description below. But this year, a marketing research firm, they estimated that advertising for most of it is for consumer retention or acquisition is going to reach $1.8 billion this year. That's how much these companies, casino operators, are going to be spending to get you to bet with them, which is insane amount of money, which is an insane. You could buy, well, no, you couldn't. I was going to say you could buy the Dallas Cowboys with them. No, but you could probably buy the Tennessee Titans.
Half the Angels, according to the Forbes valuation, because I just wrote about that this week, they're valued at half the Angels. Couldn't even get Ohtani or Mike Trout, not even that half.
We will touch on that story you wrote because I want to hear more about that. But the one takeaway about this is there are a handful of prominent gambling operators. You got your Caesars, you got your Wynn, your Penn Entertainment, the big heavy hitters. But when you take out companies like Penn, and then now I'm assuming you'll take out a company like BetMGM, which don't have to spend money to advertise, it's all these old school companies at the top that are dishing out hundreds and thousands of dollars. DraftKings alone, in one of their quarterly reports, said they spent $298 million in the fourth quarter alone, just in the New York area. It really makes you think about how much money these companies have and how much they're reeling in if they could dump this much cash into advertisement. And it doesn't even speak to volumes of how high it will get when states like California, Texas, and Florida join the fold. So I can only imagine that 1.8 billion is not going to be the highest that we'll ever report on. I feel like that's going to be, the max now, but give it about 4 years and, maybe 2 billion, maybe 3. I don't know.
No, I mean, unless these companies take the pivot that FanDuel did, claiming that they were going to back off on that and became the first online operator in the U.S. to record a profit last quarter. It's incredible. I mean, at some point, at some point they have to realize that it's just noise. I mean, there's so many ads in places like DC, Maryland, Virginia, where it just pisses people off. And I'm sure they're turning the channel because they can just tell the pitch. It's like if there's a drug ad or whatever ad makes you mad, that they're turning off just as quickly as they possibly can. That's why these sportsbook operators need everyone to keep making those parlays, like the NASCAR guy happened to win.
Yeah. So now talk to me about the Los Angeles Angels. I could buy a little bit of them if I had 1.8 billion.
Yeah, Artie Moreno, who is not incredibly popular out there. He's been a hands-on guy. He's sunk a lot of money into a lot of really bad contracts. They haven't made the playoffs since 2014. Yeah. And this while they've got two of the best players in baseball and most marketable in Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, just languishing out there. They're still in the shadow. I mean, they always will be of the Dodgers unless they play better. He claims that he's looking into possibly selling them. So there's a lot of Angels fans that are very excited about that. So we had a little fun at California casinos and decided to go through some ownership groups. So that would be sort of our dream to see them that could either afford it alone or in a group of their bestest buddy friends and maybe buy the Angels off of Moreno and make them fun again.
Interesting. Now, we'll link to that in the description below. That way you can go and read it and enjoy the joy of reading Brant's article. But give me one person on that, like the bottom person on that list, and kind of talk me through that.
The very bottom, like not my top choice, but the bottom.
I don't know. Do you want people to know your top choice, or would you rather
number two? Let me give you our number two choice. This was my favorite. This other one's really good too. I was speculating. I would love to see a couple of local entrepreneurs, three, put together their cash and do this, because even though they are really stupid, stinking rich, together they need to add together to get 2.2 billion or whatever Moreno adds it up to be. So I'm dreaming of a Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and Ice Cube to buy the Angels. I think you can make this team fun again. I think the owner's box would suddenly become the buzzworthy equivalent of the Lakers sideline during Showtime with Diane Cannon and Sally Field and Jack Nicholson and all those fun celebs that hung out. I think this might actually entice some people to get on the highway and drive out to Orange County if those guys were in charge. I think it could be pretty fun. They might have a change of team colors too.
I was about to say, the only hole in that one choice is I don't think Snoop Dogg would ever wear the color red.
I don't think I've seen any of them wear any colors except black, white, and silver. So if they got to rebrand, they got to rebrand. That's fine. Angels don't have to be bright red and blue.
Yeah, and if they have enough money, they can just relocate the Angels to Las Vegas.
We talk about that too. Come on board. We talk about that too. We have a little wild card in there.
Let me have a little fun with this. So buying the Angels, what do I need? $2 billion, right?
Forbes says 2.2 billion, but you don't know what kind of Ticketmaster thing Artie Moreno is going to put on top for services and handling.
Let me see. Well, LeBron James has obviously been wanting to own some type of franchise, so I would take the LeBron James money and I would pair it with someone like Marshawn Lynch, who probably has a little bit of money. And then they would need to get some type of big, I think Jay-Z, maybe if he pulls out of the Nets ownership group, sells his shares there, and he full on invest with these guys, something like that. But they would still be maybe a fourth person short, and they would want to name their thing the Four Horsemen. So they would need someone like, I think they're like really tight with like Russell Wilson. They would need like an NFL player.
He's expressed desire.
Or maybe movie money. Kind of like Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds buying that soccer team. They would need movie money.
Wrexham.
They get Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's the next guy. So
That's good.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, LeBron James, Marshawn Lynch, and Jay-Z come together.
That's good. It's interesting you mentioned LeBron because he's on my list. I combine him. LeBron, by the way, $1.2 billion net worth. And he owns a slice of Fenway Sports Group, which owns the Red Sox and Liverpool. I combine him with Magic to create the ultimate LA sports icon post-career rich guy group. That might be my favorite, but realistically, I think those guys. I think, but also Magic would have to sell his piece of the Dodgers.
Yeah, that is pretty good. I mean, allegiances aside, like, Magic Johnson may have allegiance to the Dodgers, but you're owning a franchise. You know, you cut that, you go become your allegiance is now to the Angels.
Yeah. He's a businessman. He's proved that. He owns a lot of stuff and has a lot of money. His net worth is just a mere $620 million.
Speaking though of Welcome to Wrexham on FX, did you check that show out?
It's in the queue. I've not watched it.
It's in the queue.
It's in the queue.
It makes me wish that I had a soccer club to root for. Like, just seeing that type of stuff. I mean, of course, when the World Cup comes to town, you know, I'm gonna be in the bar watching with all the rest of the hooligans.
Of course.
But soccer was just never a sport that I grew up watching or playing or anything like that. But it's really cool the way that they show these tiny little towns. It's almost like a Friday night. I grew up in the Friday Night Lights in Texas type of thing where the entire town shuts down to watch the high school football team. This is very much the exact same thing. Like, the entire town shuts down to watch this professional club play football. And I love it. Like, I just love how rowdy they get and how much passion they put into these teams. It makes me want to find a club to root for.
The great thing for that system and soccer in that country and in many other countries is the relegation and promotion system where, I mean, they could live in a village of 5,000 people, but they can still have a dream where rich movie star comes from Hollywood, and if he spends enough money and if their bosses spend it wisely enough, they can advance, and then one day they could get to the Premier League and then get absolutely shellacked by those guys and then come right back down. But it does give them something to dream about as opposed to if you root for a AAA minor league baseball team in the United States, or, you know, if you're a Lions fan and you're terrible every year, but there's really no threat you're going to go down. You're still going to be playing on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys because that's the system we live in.
Yeah, they explain a little bit about that, the relegation system, and then they show old highlights. So I guess this Wrexham club used to be very badass back in the day, and they show them playing against Arsenal and Chelsea and all these teams, and some of them beating them. So it was really cool to kind of get that small history lesson and stuff like that. So anyhow, now I'm a soccer fan. So
excellent.
That's my takeaway. What was there anything else that you'd like to, you know, get off your chest or say, or anything that you still got in the queue?
No, I'm good. I'm fired up for the highlight. Hoping my choices are right for the new Angels owner, and still not going to go out and do any parlays because I know it's just not a wise move.
All right. So since this is our final episode of the HeyUSA podcast, as we said, we won't be back to discuss this. So we're just going to get this out now. We've done this on previous shows. Who's your pick? World Series once and for all. This is the one that's going to stand. Who's going to the World Series?
Going to or winning?
We'll say going to and then winning out of the two teams that we pick.
Astros, Mets win.
All right. I'm changing mine. Braves, Yankees. Braves win. Braves repeat.
Back to back. All right. Fair enough.
And then again, the last one, you know, Super Bowl. I don't know if we'll be able to make another one of these videos before Super Bowl comes out. It's early, super early. Was there a team that, you know, that you think can get there and get the job done? Week 1's next week.
Everybody's so on the Bills. They make a bunch of sense.
But it's the Bills.
They always blow it up.
The Bills.
They always blow it up.
I'm gonna go with. I'll go first this time. I'm gonna go with TB12. Makes it back to the Super Bowl again.
It can't happen
for the 15th time in my life. It wins another Super Bowl. Tom Brady and the Bucks beat the Oakland Raiders.
See, everyone else is falling in love with the Raiders. I don't know that it just seems like that's ready to destroy it. You know what? I'm just going to go for it. I'm just in case. I'm going Bills. I'm going to say it's happening.
Okay. The last thing we'll chat about real quick. College football is something that you went to Morgantown. You know how rich that history is.
Backyard brawl.
Yeah, backyard brawl. That's the first game of the season against Pittsburgh this year, right?
Thursday. Yes.
Thursday. Yeah. What are your hopes for college football this year? I mean, it doesn't even have to be a specific team. It doesn't have to be our alma maters.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you like? Are you hoping that the SEC and Big Ten break off and start their own thing, or it all collapses in on itself?
Yeah, mostly because I'm around the Big 12 so much. I really want Texas and Oklahoma really just to slog it into their SEC debut.
That's good. That's a good one.
I hope that the field keeps coming back to the SEC. I just would like it to be more competitive and not just be whoever comes out of Alabama, whoever comes out of the SEC, and then Ohio State every year out of the Big Ten. I would like to get more players involved. I would like Notre Dame to be terrible and not get the benefit of the doubt from whoever programs the computer.
Yeah.
And if recruiting is balancing out and NIL is balancing out college recruiting, I would like to see that start to take effect this year and see some parity.
So I'm going to go a little bit opposite of you. I want Notre Dame to come back to the echelon. The dominant of the hill is what I want Notre Dame to come back to. For some weird reason, I have this correlation that if Notre Dame is doing well, college football is doing well, and me at home watching football on Saturdays is also doing well. So I'm going to put on Rudy whenever this is done. I'm going to watch that. I'm going to fall back in love with college football. I hope that's what happens. All the other stuff, I'm 1,000% on board with Texas and Oklahoma, just getting the stuff kicked into them the next couple seasons. And then their first season in the SEC is coming off back-to-back losing seasons or whatever. Like that'd be perfect, be beautiful.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So before we go, we would like to thank all the previous guests that we've had on this show. CJ Pierre over at Play AZ, Mike Mazio, formerly of Play NY, now at Legal Sports Report. Just the host of people that have supported us and viewed these videos and liked our stuff. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. But this isn't the end. I don't think this will be the end. Maybe something next year will come. We'll be back. We'll find a way to come back. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Follow us on Twitter. We're still going to be around. We're still going to be reporting. We're still going to be providing you gambling, sports news, the works. That's all I got to say.
Well done.